o'clock work session for Monday, May 20th, 2013 will come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending notices in December 2012 to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News, by positioning notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the lobby of Borough Hall, and providing a notice to the municipal clerk. I'd like to remind the public that we have 3 exits in the council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear, that we are on the record. Everything that is said is being recorded by tape, and we also have a videotape, that a camera that is recording everything. If you wish to be seen and heard, you can approach the microphone during the public portion of the meeting to make any statement or ask any question. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Alfred. Councilman Nicola.
Here.
Councilman Mignot.
Here.
Councilman Bartolome.
Here.
Councilman Capelletto.
Here.
Mayor Monticello.
Present. Okay, we have 2 topics on the work session for Alan Negrian, our Borough Administrator. Number 1, estimated tax bills. Alan?
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, I sent the Mayor and Council some information on issuing the estimated tax bills this year. The regulation of the state is that the Mayor and Council can pick an estimated levy somewhere between 95% and 105% of last year's levy, or they can select a levy in between those. If a levy exceeds 105%, then a resolution would have to be passed by the Mayor and Council, and it would be subject to approval by the state of New Jersey. Our levy of $44,732,775.67 as estimated is what I'm recommending you approve for the estimated bills. This is composed of the levies that we calculated as part of our adopted budget, the local open space amount that's estimated at this point in time until we get the apportionment of taxes, the levies as certified by the schools, and I've increased the county levy by 2% and calculated the county open space. So tonight I'm asking for approval of my recommendation of the $44 million. We would have a resolution on the next meeting to memorialize this and make sure that we issue this, as well as the certification of the CFO and the tax collector, to the state for the open space amount. Are there any questions or any motions to do something other than my recommendation?
Are there any motions?
Make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept Alan's recommendations.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, any abstained?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
That's all we have on that one.
Mayor, if I may interrupt for just a moment, I did speak to Councilman Aquafreda. He was caught on the Cross Bronx. He should be in River Edge at this moment, and he should be arriving shortly.
Okay. We can go to number 2 on the Borough's Administrator topics, fixed asset inventory pre-1985.
Thank you, Mayor. In 1985, the state of New Jersey adopted what they call a fixed asset accounting system, which was to place a value on your machinery and equipment, office equipment, vehicles, miscellaneous items, as well as any land or building that the town owned. At that time, we put together an inventory and a manual on doing the fixed asset accounting. We collected information to start the inventory, and we put that information on the books. And since that time, we've been tracking all of our acquisitions as well as disposals for the fixed asset accounting. We've updated it every year, and it's part of our accounting system at this particular point in time. We are refining the list of items that are open, and when we went back and looked for the pre-1986 information, we were unable to come up with our inventory listing of those items, with the exception of the vehicle list pre-1986. We've spoken with the auditor. It's my recommendation and their recommendation that we cancel out these pre-1986 items unless the department heads can indicate to us that they do have something value related to, a purchase from those prior years. As an example, I believe we have a pumper that predates 1986, and that certainly would be kept on our list of inventory as long as the fire department, will vouch for it. The police department and DPW have indicated that they don't have any assets dating back that far, and I haven't received all the responses at this point in time. But I'm looking for general direction at this point. If the council's in agreement with the recommendation that I'm making, as well as the auditor's okay, then we would cancel the open balances from pre-1986 and update our listing.
All right, any questions? Any discussion? Alan, do you need any motion on this?
We will have a resolution on this, so, just for form, if you do all ayes on it, then we'll put a resolution in front of the council once everything has been finalized and we've made sure we've touched base with all of the departments.
Okay. All right. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, let's go to the outdoor dining ordinance, which is the next topic I'd like to discuss. Our borough attorney has drafted a proposed ordinance.
Mayor, I took some ordinances, Paramus, Westwood, Rutherford, a couple other towns, reviewed them and kind of culled some of the provisions and came up with an outdoor dining ordinance that I think would be most suitable for River Edge. Couple things I did speak to the county because some of the restaurants are on a county road. The county indicated that as long as they are indemnified and are insured, they would have no problems with it. And therefore, under the insurance requirement, not only is River Edge, the County of Bergen also has to be designated as an additional insured and indemnified. I did not know if the town, which direction the town wanted to go with regard to fees, if you wanted to charge an application fee or a renewal fee to administer this. I don't have any thoughts on it one way or the other, but if the pizzeria guy wants to put out 4 chairs and 2 tables, is it going to be a sliding scale as to maybe another restaurant that's going to have potentially a lot more? So that's where I left it, and you certainly can give me some direction as to that. For the most part, again, it's pretty straightforward, and the dimensions, I went with 4 feet, table not to exceed 40 inches, everything's got to be moved in after the dining period ends or after working hours, so it doesn't stay there. And it runs from, I believe, April 1st or April 15th to November 30th. So I leave it up to your discretion. It's drafted per your request.
Kathleen, let the record reflect that Councilman Acofreda is present.
I read through it, Tom. Thank you for drafting. There was just a few areas I thought we could review.
Sure.
It would be Section 4, Regulations and for Operation, A. So you have here the minimum 4-foot wide area of unobstructed paved surface. And I thought we could add, it says no outdoor dining area shall be located less than 8 feet from any driveway and or parking area. So maybe to have other restaurants be considered for this, if we added unless buffered by bollards or similar protection, that could offer more restaurants the ability to do outdoor dining.
However, again, that's fine. So the 8 feet from any parking area or driveway to come in, I just wanted to give it sufficient space so a car doesn't careen off. We can put, if it's by waived, if there's a ballard or something there.
And then on the 3rd page, H, it says...
What section?
It's the 3rd page, H, which would be...
Oh, it's same section, yeah.
4, H.
Yeah.
Says the applicants shall remove all chairs, tables. I think that might be, I think we could talk about that. I think it might be a bit much to bring them in and out every day.
You want to take that off, remove that section?
I think so,
Well,
yes.
maybe we should just keep in, though, the area to be cleared from any obstruction or
Yes.
debris. We could keep that, and then you guys want to remove all chairs, tables,
Yeah.
equipment at the end of each day.
I think that,
My concern was if you get a very bad storm overnight and they're not tied down, if there's an umbrella still up,
Right.
it potentially could be a projectile. That's the only reason I put it in here.
you know, if the outdoor seating area is going to be, it's going to have a little gate around it, you know, one of those little, or planters, or it's enclosed in some way, you might not have to remove all the tables and chairs at the end of the day. But if someone's going to just put them on the sidewalk, they should have to take them off the sidewalk.
So you want, unless it's partition?
Or buffer.
Partition?
Yeah.
I think it has to be, like the mayor's saying, they should have a physical,
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not removed, you don't have to remove them if they're
little
They're buffer
closed
skirts
in.
that they use around.
Okay.
And then with regards to the fee, I thought, you know, just to give it just for a trial, maybe we could have a $200 fee, renewable annually.
So you're looking for a $200 fee for this, that's fine.
Any other comments? Who had their hand up first?
Go ahead.
Ed?
Yeah, it looks like at least the preliminary places that seem to be interested in this are within existing strip malls. And I think maybe as a first cut, we should limit it to not public right-of-way and leave it to like a strip mall, like an interior sidewalk area like we're talking about for the proposed Chinese restaurant in Huff McCoos. I don't think we have 8 feet of public sidewalk anywhere to make it
Right.
work unless we do something downtown. So I think as a first start, we should start with just interior type situations and not have public right-of-way involved.
So where would that be? Where would you include that? What section?
But including section, we could put sections of
Yeah, I
town,
was...
specifically, you could list the streets.
I think I was looking at the paramus ordinance, and
Mhm.
they say no outdoor dining area shall be located within any public right-of-way. So,
You want to go with...
So it's within private
no
property.
public right-of-way.
and going along with that, I don't know whether we should be allowing serving alcoholic beverages outside at this point until we get a better handle on who's and what type of restaurants and things are doing this kind of use. That's under permitted hours of operation. To talk about alcoholic beverages served.
Yes. I didn't know if you had any bring your own, where people can bring their own, or if they... Again, if they have a
I'd
liquor
rather keep
license
this
and...
more
yeah.
and see how it works, and then you can always...
So no alcohol beverages permitted on the outdoor dining?
Well...
I wouldn't be in
let-
favor
let-
of that.
Let me just say that under the proposed ordinance, it requires them to come back anyway. They have to get their liquor license extended to include the outdoor area. So they have to come back before us anyway.
I would agree with that too, because if we make this too restrictive, no one's going to make good use of it. They have to come back for an extended liquor license. We can then consider on a case-by-case basis. But if we write it in that no alcohol, then we're limiting it to a point.
Then we
where-
have to amend the ordinance. It's such a pain.
Yeah, if they have to come back to us to extend it, why limit it in the first place? We still remain in control.
I just said
No, I'm just
I'm
wondering.
not in favor of having the alcohol outside, that's all.
Alphonse?
I didn't have anything
Okay, so we have revisions regarding the fee, revisions regarding...
$200 annual fee.
Right.
No public right-of-way. Or will not apply the public right-of-way.
Right.
The applicant shall remove all chairs, tables from the sidewalk closed each day unless they're partitioned.
Right.
And I believe there's one other. Oh, the Ballard, and no outdoor dining shall be located less than 8 feet from any driveway indoor parking area unless there's a ballot or some other provision.
Yeah,
that'll come up.
something to protect from a car that...
Yeah.
Yes.
Perhaps we should consider also in stating that they should be in compliance with all applicable codes.
Is that in the back?
Let's say that.
Put in,
Codification.
submit a plan to be reviewed.
Yeah, right here. The conflict of
It says it's number 6A.
Yeah.
Demonstrate adherence to all conditions set forth in this chapter, all applicable borough and state laws and regulations.
Just had a question, I asking Tom if he recollected. I'm sorry. We had previously had a maximum number of outdoor seats available, and this doesn't speak to that anymore. I don't know if we want to have a maximum. I don't want to say necessarily minimum, because some places, say like a pizza place or maybe an ice cream place, they may not even have internal seating, so you may want to give those kind of establishments the ability to put a couple of tables outside. But on something larger, you definitely probably want to limit, if the space allows for it, you want to limit the number of seats you have outside, because you do get into parking issues once you get over a certain number of extra seats.
Right now, on look at 4B, I don't know if that satisfies it. You're going to be close to the adjacent wall. Should be one table and two chairs for every 5 feet of storefront. Or do you want to go with
I'm
the
just more
max?
concerned that if you had a storefront of, say, in a strip mall situation where you have 4 or 5 spaces getting together, and you may have 100 feet of frontage, that may want to put a large number of extra seats that aren't accounted for in the parking.
So here we can put not to exceed.
I think Ms. Bogert had said to the planning board 15% was a number that she had researched when she was involved with the Paramus ordinance. She's the planner for the planning board.
Yeah, but then what do you do when it's in, an ice cream shop and they don't have
So that
any
we can say that
any seating?
we can say that there's a maximum of that. It's not necessarily a minimum. You can have no seats and still have, and then base it on maybe the square footage. I think you need some kind of weighting test. I think you need to cap the maximum without excluding people who have no seats. I said like a pizza place or an ice cream place or something like that, where you may want to just have 2 or 3 tables. They may be limited just on size. I'm more concerned about something that's a larger size, which may have too many seats outside.
So you're saying like up to 5 tables, anything more than 5 tables could not have a maximum of 100 people or 15%?
Some kind of, I think we
Yeah,
need
that's a good idea.
something like that.
Oh, you mean leave it in the way it is, but then include language that it can't
Can't
exceed
exceed.
more than a certain percentage of the
square footage,
of the allowable seating?
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying the allowable seating, though, some places don't have the seating, so it would probably be
So
square footage.
then it would go back to the 2 chairs per 5 feet?
Yes.
Okay, all right. What percentage do you want to use? 15, 20?
Well, Ms. Bogert used 15%, she said, for Paramus, where she said the...
15%?
Yeah.
All right, we can try 15%.
So on B, then we're going to just put, because the outdoor dining cannot exceed 15% of the allowable seating.
Anything else?
I think if they want, you can go another route with this, and you can make it like Paramus did. Paramus makes it actual conditional use based on the planning board. Actually, for a larger situation, they may want to look at something like that. But this, I think, by having those kind of guidelines, you'll cover 95% of the application.
What you have right now.
Did you have anything?
We're all for it. I just want to make sure that the onus of making these outdoor seating area handicap accessible falls on the owners of the establishment. By the letter of the law, anything over a ½ inch, it's a step when it comes to Americans with disabilities. So that's what I was kind of referring to. But I guess if state laws cover that, that's fine. They're setting up, the owners also have to make sure that they're in compliance with that, because that would probably be the single most liability to us, I think. If they're not, you can always have someone that decide So it just has to be accessible, that's all.
So the plan's got to be approved by the building or construction code officials. I'm assuming he would, at that point, not
It's
sign
fine.
off on it.
It's fine.
If it's not.
But we're gonna ask for a schematic plan,
Yeah.
seating arrangement.
It's in there.
I mean, we don't want them to hire architects or engineers. I mean, but a plan that's legible, that tells you the number of seats and shows the aisle width, as well as any accessibility has been taken care of. That's. I just want to make sure that we cover that.
And just following up on that point, also, because when you talk about the bollards, and maybe Mr. Costa, if he's listening, could maybe give us some either details or something that we would have some standardized, because I know at the planning board, he proposed some ballasted planters, and there were no foundations. I don't know how you felt about that, but I don't know whether we should have some standard construction details to go along with these.
They're either 6-inch or 8-inch bollards.
That way you don't have people decide, or the zoning officer shouldn't be in a position to decide what's a...
So it's got to be in less 6 to 8 inch bollards
Or he can, when we have an application, he could just provide details.
Just say an approved design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, anything else? All right, with those changes, if you bring it back to us one more time, we could vote on it to be listed for first reading.
Sure.
All right, good. Next item for discussion, before we get into the consent agenda, is, and have Mr. Costa present Hackensack Avenue, is the request from Recreation Commission for the preliminary engineering to prepare a grant application on Cherry Blossom Park for the 2013 Bergen County Open Space grants.
Mayor, if I may, I know the proposal that you received indicated of $1,800 for this work. I would recommend that maybe we add it, round it up to maybe $3,000 in case there are meetings that are necessary or some other changes. We won't have to come back to you. If it's approved at $3,000, doesn't mean we're going to spend $3,000. We hope to spend only the $1,800, but this would give us the additional authority. Funds would be available out of our engineering line to have them assist us on this application.
All right, any discussion?
I make a motion to enter into this
I
agreement.
have a question first.
Okay.
This is for the front part of the park,
Front part of the park.
and what's being proposed that's different than what we've seen thus far on the original concept plans. I'm just concerned because it says here, and the proposal is pretty vague, because he says that it was requested that refinements to the concept plan be made to bring the plan in conformance with the wishes of the community.
Right.
I don't know what that means. And he says, and because of this lack of specificity, then he talks about adding, in addition to the 1,800, time materials for more changes. So I'd like to be a little more clear as to what's being talked about here.
I think I can only tell you, Ed, that I went to the site with Bobby Conway and Mr. Miller. We met with Dr. Bendoz and the business administrator from Cherry Hill, and their building and grounds guy, and the changes that were contemplated is a gate off the Cherry Hill 4-foot, the 4-foot fence that runs between the properties, school property. They want to have a gate installed there so that the children can get into the area of the park where it shows an outdoor learning center. The plan also shows it still shows a macadam driveway on the church side of the property. That's not there anymore, so that has to be taken out of the plan. And I think the police chief had a request for a security light at the back of the property. Those are the only changes I could think of to the existing plan. But we need Mr. Miller to give us a cost estimate for the remaining improvements so that we could have something to submit to Bergen County Open Space.
Didn't we have an original cost estimate from Mr. Miller for that work? I thought we had that.
I've never seen it.
maybe in the file, but probably needs to be updated with these small changes.
It needs to be updated because with all the grading and the improvements that the DPW made, it should be less than that amount. Alphonse?
I have a question. Just, when are you planning to go out for a grant application to the county? When is this application being made? Is it for 2013? Or are you planning?
2013 for this year.
Where are the matching funds coming from?
We don't have to have the matching funds immediately. We only have to have the matching funds if the grant gets, well, first of all, we would probably request a bond for the matching funds tonight, except that we don't have the preliminary cost estimate. So there's no way for us to even, matching funds to what? We don't have a number.
I understand that.
If we had a number, then we could talk about matching funds. So you could kind of putting a cart before the horse.
Well, see, here's the thing. We didn't, in our budget, we didn't budget for Mr. Miller. We didn't budget for an additional bond for the park. We didn't budget really anything in our budget for the park. So what I want to know is, before I spend $3,000 for an application, I just want to know where the money you anticipate is going to come from, because eventually you do have to have matching funds. So they have to come from somewhere. So I'm just wondering where those funds are eventually going to come from.
Eventually, the matching funds are going to come from wherever the matching funds come from, which is...
Well, you must have an idea. You put together this elaborate scheme for this park.
First of all, it's not a scheme. Second of all, I didn't put anything together.
You said you're the man in charge.
I'm the man in charge of the...
You're actually on record saying it multiple times.
Of the tree portion of it. Not this. I'm hands-off for the rest of this project.
Oh, come on, Mayor. Don't be so modest. This was your idea that you put forth.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and debate
You must have...
I know you're involved in your political campaign right now, but we're going to take an up and down vote. You've made your comments.
I just want to know why, when I disagree with you, it's political and it's not simply a matter of disagreeing with what you've done and what you're intending to do.
We're talking here about this project that you're the liaison to the Recreation Commission.
Yes, I was at that meeting. I want to know where you're planning on getting the money from.
I don't know why you're not standing behind this project that the Recreation Commission is trying to get done.
I don't think it's Recreation trying to get this done. I think it's actually other people trying to get this done. I don't think it's Recreation trying to get this done.
Well, I have a request here from Recreation.
Yes, the request was that if you were going to go out for this, they wanted a cost breakdown.
They want Mr. Miller to do it.
Yes, because they want to know how much it's going to cost.
That's right.
But I want to know how you plan on paying for it. Where are the matching funds coming from?
What matching funds? We don't have the number yet.
But you're going to have to eventually have matching funds for it.
We said at the last meeting that there were going to be
Let's have a motion.
service.
I make a motion to go out.
This is ridiculous.
For Mr. Miller to do the engineering services for this project.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think we
This is
discussed
for
it.
$3,000.
It's for $3,000 so we can get an idea on how much the park is going to cost, so we'll be ready to go out for grant funding. And then, once we get the idea, then we can decide if we're going to do the matching fund for however much it is. Can I have a vote, please?
Councilwoman Rose?
Yes.
Councilman Ackles?
Yes.
Councilman Paul?
No.
Councilman Miller?
No.
Councilman Barbadone?
No.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Yes. All right, let's do any item on the work session consent agenda needs to be pulled out for separate consideration. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Good. Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Costa.
Good evening.
Hackensack Avenue. Got it. What do you got? You got a new plan?
We have a new plan. I didn't bring all 40 sheets. We're going to the county. This will give you the alignment. This will give you basically there's 3 sheets here showing you the basic alignment of the roadway, the turning lanes, the turning movements, the curves, where they go, and the dimensions of the lanes. The county, it's now back in the county's hands in order to prepare the electrical plans for the actual light. And I know the county is going to ask me where we are with the actual acquisitions at that point. It's not funded for 2013, so this project, in the best case scenario, would be constructed probably late 2014 if everybody goes ahead. Depending obviously on the acquisition. It's probably closer to 2015.
Mayor, I think, and certainly the borough attorney should weigh in on this, but the borough has had its engineer provide surveys to an appraiser. We've had appraisal work done on this, but we still do not have a contract with the county, which makes us responsible for the acquisition. So I don't see the council moving forward with any actual acquisition of property or construction easements until we have a contract in place for the project.
I was under the impression that there is an interlocal agreement between the county and the town.
Not to my recollection, but I could certainly be wrong. It probably should be reviewed by the borough attorney. We have also on several occasions over the last half a dozen years done bond ordinances to fund our portion of this, but the project does not move forward, so we cancel those bond ordinances or we reappropriate. So I think the borough has shown some good faith here. The county, has progressed with the plans, but maybe it's time to review whether there is an agreement in place and what our responsibilities are under the agreement.
From my recollection, the only responsibility would be to acquire the property needed for the actual widening.
Well, the county has a standard contract which puts forward certain responsibilities of the borough.
All construction costs would be borne by the county. In this case, all of the inspection costs would be borne by the county. The only thing that the town would be responsible for, if there's any decorative features, i.e. any streetscape, any brick pavers, any ornamental furniture, any decorative lighting, they will pick up the cost of that. So if the council decides not to do that, then there'd be no cost. It would only be the acquisition cost, and any legal and administrative cost. But I'll check my files tomorrow morning. Again, this project goes back probably close to 6 years or 7 years. If it has to get amended, then I'll request to the county council, and certainly Tom can do the same to get a...
Mr. Costa, on the corner of Grand Avenue and Hackensack, does it show a curb cut going into the borough-owned property?
Yes.
Okay. Does it show any improvements to, I guess there's no improvements to Coles Brook or anything like that, right?
None whatsoever.
Mayor, if I may, you show various islands or areas of buffer. Is there any maintenance involved, any vegetation?
These are not shown as landscaped islands. Alan, my peeve is to make them landscaped islands. And I actually had a meeting a few weeks ago at the county because of the decorative paintings that they're putting on, or the markings on the pavement. They're anywhere from $5 to $8 a square foot. If you take that number and include it in the thickness and the depth of the asphalt that you need to create that, it's a lot cheaper putting in some shrubs and dirt, putting the curb around it. It's cheaper at the onset, and it's certainly much cheaper down the road, because all you have to do is just maintain a little bit of landscaping there. It also softens up the roadway. Once you see the dimensions of this roadway, I think if you don't put some sort of greenery in the center of it, it's going to look massive. So as a town, I think it's the right thing to do. But again, I understand that there's a maintenance involved, and we'd have to have the DPW down there to maintain it, or try to adopt a highway or some sort of program like that.
With traffic control, depending on where the islands are.
I like greenery.
Why did they propose getting rid of the little cutout at the gas station?
I'm sorry, man,
No, at the Shell station.
because the difficulty in maintaining you have to take more property from the gas station. This would add property back to that business. Plus, to maintain that intersection and that traffic signal.
It's so easy now to make a right on red, and once you take that out,
Well, the problem is when the
what's
train...
going to happen? There's going to be no red on red?
When the train comes in, it's actually, you can't make the right on red. So what happens, those cars queue into Hackensack Avenue, and that's what backs up at that location, Hackensack. Now with the trains, these lights are preempted. It's called a preempted signal by the train. So when the train comes in, it preempts the traffic stops. It clears in the east and westbound direction. You can't make a right turn, and then you start queuing back in Hackensack Avenue, and that creates a problem. So what we did, we pulled the curb line out, we created a longer stacking aisle to make that right-hand turn. So you don't have to back up on Hackensack Ave and have...
That's right turn only now, the whole
Right,
lane.
that's right turn only. You'll have 3 through lanes, and then going into the park, you'd have 1 turning lane there.
Coming out of the...
This is my 13th plan.
It shows traveling east on Main Street. Is it going to be signalized so that you can make a left and go north?
At Main, yes. Yes.
And then how about coming out of the park? There's no directional arrows on that side, on that part of the
Because
plan.
what we want to do is choke that. Right now, there's 3 lanes there. You have 2 lanes and then a single lane coming in. The amount of traffic that would be on this street
Going out?
is minimal, so you don't really need a dedicated left or right. So we figured we'd get more property back to the park, more greenery to the park, and take those improvements out that are there now. Because you really, with the junk handle coming out, the park is an infrequent use.
Okay.
And we like a captive audience. Once we get them in the park, we want to keep them there.
Has Shade Trees been able to participate in the selection of the trees, or would you like me to send this plan to them for their...
Liz Stewart can, whatever tree she wants.
I'll send this to her
I
tomorrow.
will never fight with Liz.
This is the honey locust tree they have here. These are the ones they just cut down at Total Wine over there.
Whatever tree she wants.
I'll send it to her tomorrow,
desires, I
so we
will,
can have it put down.
So, Mr. Costa, are you saying that we need to take an action at this council meeting?
Right now, there's no action. The only action would be to start negotiations with these property owners. I mean, you don't have to go to the... you don't need to cut checks at this point, but I think we have to start at least negotiation in good faith.
Only if we have an agreement.
Alan, I thought we had already gotten some appraisal reports for these
Yes.
properties.
We went ahead and we got appraisal reports.
We have appraisal reports on the properties.
I just need an attorney. I need an attorney, an appraiser, myself. Usually,
It's not a problem.
yeah. I mean, I've been known to take property with or without any authorization, but I think I just not ready yet. I gotta have the authorization.
But I mean, now that we have the appraisals, the county should give us a contract so that we can go ahead.
I gotta check my file. I'm pretty sure there is an interlocal agreement from many years ago. Now, maybe that has to be
I hope I'm wrong.
modified.
I hope I'm wrong.
And
They're proposing it's going to be a double signalized intersection, Grand and Hackensack Avenue?
Yes,
Okay.
that was a fight.
And I said it before, and I'll say it again, this plan's all well and good, and it benefits the county. It does not benefit the Borough River Edge until they do something about Main Street and Route 4. And by adding a signalized intersection at Grand Avenue, you're just going to have 2 streets backed up with cars trying to get on Route 4, cutting through Grand now, and Main, and probably through Acton and everything around there. And I'd like to hear what the county's plan is to how they're going to deal with that, because it's just going to put more cars on more roads, and it's basically pass-through traffic to the town. So I really want to make sure that
Well, I think-
the county knows this is going to work before we...
Well, obviously, we had a meeting there that day. Nothing, to my knowledge, has been modified. DOT was there. My recommendation, and again, I think there was such a difference of opinion that day, would be to make Marginal Road one way, from Grand all the way to Route 4. And if you come down Lakeview, you can only make a right. If you come down Bogart, you can only make a right. You can't spin in the opposite direction. And once you do that, come off of Route 4, when you get to Main Street, you pull onto into the Grand, and that's it. You don't have, because at that intersection, it's just, you have people coming in different directions. It's dangerous. And the amount of traffic that's on Main Street is...
But now you're going to have
never
people
stops.
thinking they're going to cut Main Street by going through Grand. So then you're going to have now two channels of
That's my
traffic,
suggestion.
and they're just going to...
That's a one-way there now. Between Grand and Main Street on the marginal road of Route 4 is one way. Then it chokes down. There's a little island that they put in. It chokes down to one lane at Main and Marginal. But from the opposite direction, coming out of Bogart or Lakeview, you can actually go east. So you're actually going the opposite way of Route 4. And at that intersection there, it's extremely confusing. People are coming on Main, and it's very fast. They stop at that stop sign, but it's almost instantaneous that they make the right. If you're trying to get out because Bogart Road is so close, it's dangerous. Then when you come around, now you have 4 different movements going on. It's dangerous. That's what I'm saying. Eliminate it. And I know what the chief said. You're going to then throw more traffic either on Rutgers or on Howland. But I think that's the safer solution to there, and it moves...
They need to get this traffic through, because
And
it's
get
not...
it through. I think it's...
And I think the county has to
It's not
tie
gonna
that
hurt-
into whatever they want us to do here,
It's not going to
because...
hurt the mall, because the mall has a driveway off of Bogart Road. So if anybody's going to go to the mall, they can come through the mall off of that driveway, if they're coming out from River Edge into the mall. It's not going to affect that, where people would have to spin around in a circuitous pattern. And I think that's the solution. I believe the DOT will be on board. If you want me to push that, I certainly will.
I'd like to see at least some acknowledgement from them that this is an area they need to address, and they seem to acknowledge it when we were at the meeting, but...
But that's as far as it goes.
Yes, I know, but they need, but I think they need to realize that for this improvement to take place, they need to do something there, or this is just going to be, it's not going to be a benefit to the borough. It's going to push more cars, and it's not going to help us.
At this stage of my career, unless you call, and unless you're an annoyance, and unless you continue to send out emails, and you really have everybody focused in, it doesn't seem to get to the finish line.
So are you suggesting or inferring that maybe what we want to do is draft a resolution and keep drafting a resolution for them to look at Grand, Marginal, and in connection with this?
Absolutely.
Well,
Then at least they know the...
With all due respect to Mr. Costa, the ball's kind of in our court, because the first step to improve that crazy intersection where you got traffic coming at you from 5 different directions is to do the one-way, is to make it one-way. And that's what we would have to do. That's our jurisdiction.
No, it's not.
DOT has to do it.
But we would have to change Bogart so that there's no left turn at the end of Bogart, right?
We can do that now under the development that's happening as we speak.
And then we'd have to do the same thing for Lakeview, right? No left turn.
No left turn.
So essentially, we'd be making it a one-way if we did those 2 things.
Right.
And there's no way to you're going to have that traffic stacked up. There's just no way, right? There's no other, seems like that's, without getting dangerous.
I think that's the simplest solution.
Right.
I think it's the safest
You can't-
solution.
there's no
the
other-
solution.
But you're saying we can't, that, on Google Maps, they call it Grand. I know you're calling Marginal Land, so
Right.
let's just say
That's
Grand Marginal.
DOT control.
Okay, that's DOT, so we can't restripe it, we can't make it one way. All we can do is affect, if we chose to,
The local streets to it.
the local streets too. And we couldn't even, okay, I get it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so you're going to check your records and see if there's an interlocal agreement with the
If there's
county.
not, then I'll speak to Tom in the morning, I'll get a hold of county council and make sure that this is in motion.
All right? Anything else from Mr. Costa?
Councilwoman?
The Voorhees Avenue project.
Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, the new structures will be delivered. And the contractor will be on site if that happens on Thursday morning.
So the contractor will be there definitely on Thursday?
If the structures are delivered on Wednesday, and I'll get a verification of that tomorrow, and I will send an email out to all.
And did you get a memo on Grove Street? From anybody?
Did I? I don't remember.
Read the memo, Mr. Cochran.
I'll do whatever the council
You
wants.
have to do two plans, a more elaborate one with surface parking, and then something short and quick so that we can get a few parking spaces at the bottom of Grove Street.
That's easy enough.
Okay.
And I'll give an estimate on both.
Kathleen?
So also mention here that you were going to talk about the PSE&G line upgrade on this.
Yes, we had a meeting at Borough Hall last week. PSE&G, based upon their, I think it's a $4 billion project to upgrade the infrastructure for reliability. They're going to be running new transmission lines. They're underground. They're coming out of the New Milford substation. They cross into River Edge, down by the swim club. They have to add a manhole where they have to get access to in order to pull these cables through. The rest of the work is actually underground from there. Nobody will see anything. There will be trucks. There'll be some inconvenience on Kinderkamack Road. But the only excavation that they're doing is strictly by the back, basically by the boat ramp and the swim club. There will be some underground chambers put in there.
How long do you think that's going to take?
I forgot off the top of my head exactly what they said.
Yeah, I'm looking.
There'll be no interruption to service?
7 days.
I think the project was
Unless the pipe needs
September to
repairs.
December. I think they said it was 7 to 14 days, this section.
And
I can only do it between September and
December. What's the name of the arch contact over there? Mr. Hollenbeck.
Dave Hollenbeck.
We asked Mr. Hollenbeck if he can describe, he asked us for a resolution in support of some PSE&G initiative. We asked him for a description of the improvements that PSE&G intended to make to the New Milford substation, to harden it, because it floods frequently. And he was unable to provide us with any detail.
We asked him again
We asked him
Mayor,
again
at the
at that
meeting,
meeting.
and
If
he
he
brought it to
didn't-
his attention. He said he would go back and review his
Right.
information and get us what he could, if there was anything.
Okay, all right.
The way he described it to us was that this work is being borne by all of the grid holders, and he was reaching out to Pennsylvania to try to, but again, at this point, it wasn't our concern as far as who's going to pay for this, is the ratepayers in Pennsylvania. Only our questions that day is, what are you doing exactly? What's the impact to River Edge? What kind of construction time frame? And if there's any impact to services. The answer to all the above were none, except for some obviously traffic implications on Kinderkamack when they get there. I reminded him September to December, September, October, possibly storm season, where he's putting his chambers adjacent to the river, it's in the floodway. Obviously be aware of that, and I don't think he was that aware of how much flooding is actually could be down there if you have a severe storm. So I brought that to his attention, and that was it.
There's no interruption to service, though?
No interruption.
Oh, one other thing. It appears as if we might have some boundary issues on, what was it, Valley? And did we request an
Survey.
estimate to survey some property from you?
We did. Actually, I spoke to Alan. I said we would go down there. I'd go down there with Tom, take a look at this. Before we try to establish the entire borough line that runs from probably Eastbrook all the way out to Route 4, which, you talk about a lot of properties, to see what the issues were, and when maybe we could find points or pipes a lot easier, not to get into a full-blown survey and title work and so on and so forth.
Yeah, this is only a few properties, I think 4 properties or something that we're concerned about
But it's-
right now.
Whenever you want to meet me there, if you want to do it tomorrow, I'll be around right after bid opening up in Holbrook.
Okay.
Howland Avenue started today.
I saw that,
They were
yep.
down there.
Mhm.
Trees came down on Saturday. Construction is commencing down there.
Good,
So that should be done quickly.
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
All right, online safety training for elected officials. Is that...
Mayor, if I may, my thanks to the mayor and council who have all completed the training online, which means that for each one of those, we will get a $250 credit on our assessment premium. Thank you for your cooperation.
Very good.
Mayor, this is somewhat related. We've also all been asked to do an FDS, and I'm having problems getting that done. I don't know if anyone else in the council is having problems getting it done.
We're going for extra help.
Me too.
Okay.
When I go to the website that seems to be provided, it says that it's been moved, and so maybe
I
later...
literally did it this afternoon, so...
Tell me where you went.
It was the local government services webpage. It was the same one that was on Denise's.
Are you working off a Mac though?
No.
I am too. But that might be a problem.
I'll talk to you later.
I just gave, the jury it gave me the registration number, so I assumed it all went through, so...
I have a
All right.
Mac.
All right, let's, any unfinished business? Kathleen?
I'd like to know a few updates, the bus shelters, where we're at with that.
Mayor, we asked for a pre-construction meeting with the contractor for the bus shelters, Handicap. We got a note back on April 26th from New Jersey Transit that the contractor doesn't do pre-construction meetings with the towns, but New Jersey Transit is willing to send a representative. I drafted about a dozen questions that we might ask in lieu of meeting with the contractor. I sent it to John Lynch on May 9th, asking him whether there are any additional questions, and I'm waiting to hear back from John whether he has anything else that he would like asked of New Jersey Transit. Once we get those, we will send them off to New Jersey Transit trying to get answers, and once we have satisfactory response, then we should be able to go ahead and schedule.
All right, wait a minute. While we're on the bus shelters, I've received correspondence, I don't know if everybody else was copied, from Mr. Quarterweg regarding income generated to municipalities for allowing certain advertising on bus shelters. I don't know if the contract we signed from New Jersey Transit allows us to do that or not, but I wanted to raise it in unfinished business to open the discussion on the issue to see if council had any interest. Anthony? Wait a minute, maybe Alan has an answer.
Well, I could just speak from history. The issue was raised in 2006 and rejected by that council, and was rejected several years ago by the council that sat, to go for a different type of installer of the bus shelters, which would have allowed the advertising. Now we have New Jersey Transit. I think you're going to need their permission to put any kind of advertising onto the bus shelters. It's much more restrictive than the other situation that we had both a couple years ago and in 2006. So certainly this council we do have an agreement with New Jersey Transit at this point, so you would have to look at that agreement and be bound by the requirements in there.
All right, why don't we do this to cut the discussion. Alan, you can give a copy of the agreement to Mr. Sarlo. Mr. Sarlo can review it and then give us his opinion whether or not it's even allowed. And then we can continue the discussion on that. I know other councils have rejected the idea.
I'd like an update with the ADA doors in that project.
Yes, the last time we reported it was going to take till the middle of June to have the door manufactured for Borough Hall. Once received, middle of June, they were going to come in and do both doors. Today, I got a copy of an email from our architect to the manufacturing, asking for an updated schedule for the ADA door installation, whether the contractor had received the new door and the frame at this point in time, and there was no response back today. So we'll be following up on that and just monitoring that to see that he's on schedule for the mid-June installation. Yes, Kathleen.
The library roof and the HVAC, are we moving along with that?
No, I don't have any Update from the architect other than what was sent the last time as to the schedule. He gave us a timetable which was distributed to the mayor and council. So I don't have an update on the library roof. And as far as the HVAC, I'm waiting for the effective date of the bond ordinance before we move forward with the HVAC.
What date is that?
Late May, early, mid-June, by the time the 20 days post final advertisement of the bond ordinance takes place.
The Fifth Avenue resurfacing.
Good question from Mr. Costa while he was here, but we received a letter indicating that we're going to get $150,000 from the DOT to start the first phase, reconstructing curbs, sidewalks, driveway aprons, and the street resurfacing on that project. On the consent agenda tonight, you approved the introduction of a bond ordinance at the next public meeting, to start the funding for that first phase. No down payment is required on that bond ordinance since it's a DOT project. So that first phase is moving along. We're still awaiting to hear about whether there'll be more money coming through a discretionary application that was filed.
What about the energy audit?
The energy audit, we have the agreement in hand. The mayor is reviewing it, and it's subject to the mayor signing off on the agreement. Once that's done, we need some additional information. Once that's done, we'll be able to engage the company that does the audit.
And our generator? Has P&G come?
There was activity outside on the pole. I'm not sure. Nobody reported to me whether there was additional activity, unless Ed, you have a...
No, I don't have information.
Who can we contact to, it's been a long time now.
We'll reach out to the architect who's in charge. All right, any other unfinished business? We do have to start the public meeting, but I have two things. One is, I'd like an update on, I think Ed was spearheading it. There was a request from the planning board to amend the borough soil movement ordinance to exempt certain applications where there's not a great deal of soil. I'd like an update on that. Where are we?
I prepared two ordinances, one with the amendment and one a lot more detailed.
Right.
And I've been discussing which one we should go with, whether we should go with revamping the entire movement and not doing it in pieces, or just doing the amendment at this point in time. So
I want to give Mr. Costa's opinion also on the bonding requirements.
Okay. All right, well, just submit them to the council so that we have something to act on. The other one was, we never nailed down whether or not the historic element has been incorporated into the borough's master plan. I know Ed did a tremendous amount of background research. I think you reached the dead end at some point.
Well, no, well, the problem is that we don't have tapes of the actual meeting when this occurred. What appears is that the planning board did move to adopt the historic element, but they did not have a public hearing doing so, which means, the legal people to see whether it was ever legally adopted or not. And because we don't have the actual verbatim record of what actually happened, we're only going by the minutes, and the minutes do not show that there was a public hearing, that there was any public comment, or that they actually held it as a public hearing. So we don't know whether it was ever adopted per MPMLUL.
All right, Judy, could you put this historic element on the agenda for the next work session so we can continue this discussion? How about any new bid, any more old bids, any new bids?
Just real quick, what's happening, kind of an update on the facade of the Borough Hall, where we are at repainting?
No activity. You received a proposal on it. I don't have anything new to report on.
So what's left is for us to act? Alan?
I have to refresh my memory as to where we're at with that. You received proposals. Yeah, I'm not sure whether you acted on it. I don't believe you acted on any of those proposals. I think it was incorporated into John Lynch's budget, right? Money for the scraping, painting, caulking. Yeah, it's in his operating budget.
We have one,
Alan, could you do a little research and bring
Yes.
that to our next meeting?
Thank you.
All right, if there isn't any other new business, I can open. Alphonse?
We have one individual who's interested in joining the Special Events Committee, so I'd just like to put a resolution on for the next meeting, I guess adding her. I'll give the name and address to either Denise or Alan.
Okay.
It would be Lisa Maldi, Oak Avenue.
Got it. Can I have a motion to open the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I see your hand up. It's only the work session, but we'll take you anyway.
Thanks. Mr. Sarlo was saying something before about the buffer zone for the outside of these, where they might have outside dining.
Yes.
What do you mean by buffer? Like
Mayor, Casey
columns
didn't give his
that
name or
Mr. Costa
address
was
if he
talking
asked
about?
him.
Casey, just give us your name and address for the record.
Casey Connors, Adams Avenue.
Thank you.
For the, if there's a driveway or a parking going in, it'd be an 8-foot buffer, so you don't have tables right next to going in. Mayor and council suggested that if the applicant would put some type of ballard or protection, that 8-foot can be lessened so they can get additional tables or chairs there.
My thought on something like that would be have the owner or the establishment install a guardrail, you know, like they have along Kinnecamack Road in certain areas. This way, it doesn't turn into an accident looking for a place to happen like it did earlier this year down here at Carousel, or not Carousel, at the card store, buying gifts. The car went through the front of the building.
And the bagel shop, too.
Yeah. There's a bagel shop there.
Yeah.
I must be missing something.
Okay.
The other thing I'd like to bring up is from Fifth Avenue down towards, all the way down to Kimberly, every one of the curb cuts is out of proportion. It's supposed to be a 1 inch to over 12 foot. There's some that are probably 4 or 5 inches over 5 feet. There's one that's banked, if you're coming back up the hill towards Fifth, that you're actually leaning out into the street.
Is it a
Since I am, I've seen people in manual chairs being pushed and just about go over because it's such an angle.
Okay.
And Councilman Al Kafrida, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name.
Gotta roll the R.
You gotta roll it kind of, but the loan, you have
He
to
had mentioned
connect.
before, anything over half an inch, I think you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
by law, I didn't make that up, that's a,
I'd say at least a
that's a law.
2-inch lip at it. You know, where the actual curb itself has moved out to.
Right. Yeah,
And
there's
the
no...
top of it is always supposed to be, I believe it's a 48 inch or 50 some odd inch air, like a landing area. So when you come up, that's where you can stop, you can turn, or just sit there if you're in a manual chair to regain your strength. You know, there's nothing at any one of these. With all the grants that the town is looking for, like on the park, I think Councilman Bartolone's question was a fair question. Who are you going to rob to pay the Peter on this one? You know, you're getting a $3,000, you're looking for a $3,000 grant, and eventually it's going to have to be matched from somebody from here.
It's not $3,000 for the grant, it's just $3,000 to fund the engineering so that we can go out for a grant.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
Then I misunderstood how you worded it. Where's the 3,000 coming from? Is that the way you meant it out?
It's coming from the engineering line.
Excuse me?
It's coming from the engineering line. That's already in our budget,
All right.
according to Mr. Negria. All right, can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's go into the 8 o'clock meeting. All right. Can we all stand for a moment of silent prayer or reflection? Can we have Councilman Aquafreda lead us in a salute to the flag?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend any meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this act, the mayor and council of the borough of River Edge have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted in the borough hall, and notices were sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. The mission of the governing body is to provide essential services to establish and implement public policy, thereby safeguarding our infrastructure, providing honest, courteous, and professional services, to establish a sense of trust and accomplishment with our residents. We do this through research and prudent planning, seeking to minimize risks while improving our services. We are sensitive, above all, to the needs of the taxpayer, while realizing that this governing body cannot be all things to all people due to the revenue constraints that are imposed by state mandates, present economic conditions, and prevailing attitudes about taxation. There are 3 exits in the council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. Again, we're on the record, both audio and video. During the public portion of the meeting, if you wish to be heard, all you need to do is give us your name and address, and you can ask any question or make any statement. If you wish to be both seen and heard, then you need to approach the front of the council chambers and stand next to the microphone where your image will be captured for all posterity. Let's begin by having a roll call.
Councilwoman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Alfred.
Present.
Councilman Cole.
Here.
Councilman Mignon.
Here.
Councilman Baldwin.
Here.
Councilman Cavalera.
Here.
Councilman
Present. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council for the work session and regular meeting of May the 6th, 2013?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Tonight, we have no awards or proclamations. We have certain appointments and personnel changes. Can I have a motion to approve the retirement of John Connolly, patrolman in the police department, effective June 30th, 2013?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I ask, or can I have a motion from a member to get a plaque fabricated for Officer Connolly?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
We'll second
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Maybe we can have it here by his retirement date. Let's see. We have 2 appointments that are subject to our a closed executive session, so I'm going to skip over them right now. But they are the appointment of a code enforcement officer and for seasonal help in the Department of Public Works. We have correspondence that is on file with the clerk's office, various notices and letters that are available for public view. We have monthly reports from the building department, the police department, the library board, the tax collector, and the Shade Tree Commission, all for the months of March and April of 2013. Tonight we have liaison reports. Beginning the liaison reports will be Councilwoman Murphy for the DPW, the Shade Tree Commission, the library, the Senior Citizens Co-Liaison, New Milford River Edge Shared Services, and Oroville River Edge Shared Services. Councilwoman Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I'm just going to speak about the DPW. They will be putting their old tree truck up to be auctioned within the next 2 weeks, and the new tree truck will be delivered within the month. The Shade Tree, they finished their grant application. I believe, Alan, you should have it at this point. It's completed, and it just has to be submitted. I'm working on the recycling calendar, and I should have that completed by the end of the month. And that's it for tonight.
All right, thank you. Councilman Aquafreda, liaison to the Beautification Committee, Zoning Subcommittee, River Edge and Riverdale Schools.
The Beautification Committee got together on May 9th as the last meeting before the summer break. And actually, the meeting started as a no official meeting because we didn't have a quorum, but I think people started to trickle in. I don't see Michelle in attendance to ask her if it became an official meeting. At any rate, just for the sake of reporting, the plant sale went well, and they're thinking of expanding it next year. Lots of planting going on, including the library. This took place last Saturday, on the 18th. And discussion about a fundraiser. And there was also planting of trees at the DPW that took place on the 11th. And there'll be weeding going on throughout the summer, starting on the 21st, which was today. I guess I also would like to acknowledge the receipt of 2 sizable donations of $250 each made to the committee. One check by Miss Virginia Kortewege, and the second check by Rob Schlossberg on behalf of his company at MRJ, I think, is the name of the company. So on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank these 2 individuals for their generosity. And that's for meeting. With Al and Kathleen permission, I would like to ask Alan on the technology committee end. Alan, first of all, thank you for the memorandum that updated us on the visit by Riverdale. Is there a course of action that you're proposing, or does this thing kind of dies?
We can put it on a work session.
You probably have to raise that issue, Councilman, in unfinished business. You could ask Judy to put it on the agenda for the next work session.
Fine, please. That is it.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Capola, Construction Code Official, Property Maintenance, Senior Citizen Co-Liaison, and the Historic Commission.
Yep, I will address 2, Senior Citizen Score and Historic Commission. I think I mentioned it before in other reports, but the SCORE, Senior Citizens, we're working on an updated list of potential members to join SCORE, and I've already had mocked up 2 proofs for postcards and letters that will be sent out to the prospective members to come, which we will be mailing them out in 2 separate mailings come September when everyone's back from their vacations. And I will be at SCORE tomorrow for coffee. No, you won't be there.
I'm going to.
That's why I'll be there. No, I'm just kidding. So, but I'll be there tomorrow for coffee and chat with the people with SCORE. And then Historic Commission, I'll be there Wednesday for a meeting up here. And we're going to be discussing the code for the facades of historically designated homes. And I think Ed had touched on that just real quick about the historic element. Is that tied into what we're...
It will have an impact on that, yes.
Yeah, so that's what we'll be addressing come Wednesday. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilman Mignon. Police Department, Environmental Protection Commission, Green Team Planning Board, shared services with River Edge and New Milford.
With the police department, you see tonight we approved the retirement of Lieutenant Patrolman Connolly. That's another high-level retirement, and I think maybe we should have Chief Crady come talk to the council how that affects his staffing for the rest of the year and potential impact on overtime. Green Team, they began their community garden project over at the middle school. I was there for the groundbreaking a couple weeks ago. We got a lot of volunteers through the Green Team, through the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts. They have set up a online sign-up web page, which I don't have the address with me right now, but maybe we can get it onto our main website so people can sign up and kick in an hour or 2 shift at the garden. They've been a pretty good start. It looks like it's going to be a nice project. Planning Board, the last meeting last week, the board approved the application for a new large sit-down Chinese restaurant in the strip mall, the former party place. And there was also a approval of a soil movement permit for construction of, or for the expansion of a single-family house on Voorhees. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Bartoloni. Recreation, Traffic and Safety, Special Events, Technology, Oradell, Shared Services.
Thank you, Mayor. The Special Events Committee met last week. At present, we are working on our plans for the 4th of July festivities for the 3rd and the 4th. In addition, we're looking to have a Zumba in the park for June 7th. This will be a fundraiser for the Special Events Committee. We have an instructor. I believe registration is going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning and begin at like 9 o'clock or so. It's supposed to be a lot of fun. I don't know, I've never done Zumba, but I suppose I'll be there that morning for that. But it is a fundraiser for special events, so if everyone can make it, that would be great. 4th of July plans are moving forward. We started with the selection of a Grand Marshal. We'll have something to present to the council probably at our next meeting in terms of approving that. And that's pretty much it. In terms of recreation, all the spring sports are moving forward very well. Little League, Regal, and that's about it.
Thank you. Councilman Papaleo, Fire Prevention Social Services. I don't know why you're still listed for social services. We did away with that.
We dissolved social services.
Put it into the county. River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drugs.
Thank you, Mayor. The River Edge Fire Department Engine 2 has been placed back into service. It's been back into service about a week. The loaner that we received from the Ridgewood Fire Department, we'd like to publicly acknowledge the Ridgewood Fire Department and thank them. That loaner has been returned. The River Edge Fire Department will be participating in a rather big event on June 8th. It is a New Jersey, New York Volunteer Firefighter Parade. It's the 100th anniversary. And in preparation for this, the fire departments have been working very hard at getting our engines and our men up to spec, and they're working literally 2 nights a week volunteering to prepare the engines and themselves. There is a competition with trophies, and we're hoping to bring home some. It should be a great event. The River Edge Fire Department will be placing flags at grave sites for all the deceased members buried locally on before Memorial Day and on Memorial Day if it's not complete. The Memorial Day service for our borough will begin at 10 a.m. at company number 1. Coffee and cake will be provided prior. The service starts at 10 right here for our firemen who have left us, and then I believe we're moving at 10:30 to the beginning of the parade. That will, I believe, is Elm and I'm not quite sure where, but I'm sure that's going to be out. The READ, River Edge Alliance Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse, I did mention this in my comments, but as liaison, I'd like to mention again, we participated in the River Edge Walk Run. The walk benefited the River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse. It was a great success. A good amount of money was raised. READ is currently continues to be in process of planning community events. We're pretty much all tied up with the school and the DARE programs and the extended programs that are occurring. READ did reach out to our parochial and private schools of the town, and so far it looks like we're going to have a really great year of activities and events to support our mission. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I have 2 reports to give. One from the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service, which currently has 3 American Heart Association CPR certified instructors. The instructors get recertified every year, saving hundreds of dollars of funds by teaching the course in-house. They've also taught life-saving CPR classes to the Boy Scouts and to Scout leaders. For the month of January, the ambulance service responded to 53 calls. For February, 39 calls. In March, 53 calls. In April, 30 calls, for a total of 175 calls for the first quarter. On April 20th, the paging system for the volunteer ambulance service went down. I think it was determined that a breaker switch in the basement of Town Hall here had been mistakenly shut off when the generators were being tested. Neil Carroll was successful in finding us a backup with the borough of Cresskill, since they're on the same frequency as River Edge. And working with Mr. Carroll, we were able to enter into an interlocal agreement, which has now been signed, so Cresskill can work as an emergency backup if the Rivas system ever goes down again. Also on April 20th, Rivas responded to a hazmat incident in Dumont at a church which involved 50 people, where you may have read about it in the papers, where people had
Pepper spray.
congestive problems breathing. It was found out to be pepper spray. During the River Edge run, Rivas had ambulances in attendance. They also will be in attendance on June 15th for the new Milford 5K run, and they will be in Oradell on July 5th. I want to thank Donna for getting me the report this month, and keep doing a great job. The other report I have to give is today at 5 o'clock I attended the Community Development Block Grant meeting in Hackensack, and there's good news and bad news. There was only there are 10 towns in our region that are eligible to get funds from the Community Development Block Grant for services. The amount was again cut this year for services to $171,000. So there was unfortunately no money for a new senior truck this year, but we were able to get money for the dispatcher and for senior activities, which are pretty much 100% granted at our requested amounts. So we'll have money for the dispatcher, we'll have money for the senior bus driver, and we'll have some money for senior activities. I will also indicate that the River Edge Board of Education, we were successful in getting them approximately $60,000 of Community Development Block Grant to do an ADA compliant bathroom. So that's been done. I have some ideas for next year's Community Development Block Grant program, because there are other avenues to acquire additional funding, which deal with things that we term bricks and mortar. There's a bricks and mortar fund that has in excess of $1 million in it, and if we're able to find an appropriate grant application to put into that section of the Community Development Block Grant, I think we'll be successful in getting additional funding. The other thing I want to report on is that we still have baby trees down at the DPW that need to be planted. I'm planting on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. I try to do a couple dozen every week. Kathleen was there with me last week, and we did 28, something like that. We now have over 100 baby trees planted in containers awaiting installation at Cherry Blossom Park. And those are my...
The lightning detection.
What?
Lightning detection.
Oh, well, that was... You should have reported on that.
I know.
We're also doing a lightning detection program, which is a shared services with our Board of Ed here in town, the Board of Ed of New Milford, the Borough of New Milford, the Riverdale School System. It's 5 entities involved in the lightning detection system. It will all be run from a base unit that will be, I think, right across the street at the fire at Company 1. And we are using money that we put into capital improvements. We are offsetting that by prorating the cost of the system among the 5 towns, so that we utilize shared services and save the taxpayer money. Those are my reports. We have no ordinances on for first reading. We have no ordinances on for second reading or final adoption. There is a list of resolutions that are on by consent. Does any member of council wish to pull out for separate consideration or discussion any of the resolutions on the consent agenda? All right, can I have a motion to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Thank you. All right. Next, we have the payment of bills, 13-220. Councilman Mignoli.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $272,648.85. Capital account, $34,906.74. Recreation account, $7,278.41. Animal welfare account, $28.80. Trust other account, $3,377.58. Trust other developers account, $5,690. Open space account, $7,392.92. So moved.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Thank you. Can I have a motion to open the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the regular session of the meeting is open to the public for anyone who wishes to make a comment or ask a question. Peggy?
Last meeting, Councilwoman Murphy mentioned the recycling coming from Green Tea. And I didn't remember what she said. I tried to look it up in the minutes of where that came from. So I would like to know what it was last month, I mean, last meeting that was said.
I actually have information here about the recycling. We were talking about putting recycling containers in all the parks. So this was an idea mentioned where our DPW wouldn't have to go up there to collect the recycling. It's like an advertising program that's done through a bunch of different towns. So I'm compiling information for next time.
The only problem that I have is recycling has always been for the Environmental Commission, and also the Vice Route that the Environmental Commission. So I don't understand why they are now given to the Green Team. And as well as that, we've got to change people on the Environmental Commission because they're still not coming. So we're not inviting people who want to be on the Environmental Commission. I'm glad that they're doing something, but I don't want to see recycling changed without giving us the information.
Mayor, just if I could say one point. The Green Team had gotten a grant, and they were looking at ideas of how to use that money and purchasing these containers. That's why they were looking at it.
I agree.
And I agree, we've talked about the Environmental Commission and the fact that we haven't had a quorum now in 2 or 3 meetings, so.
We have to do something, or there's not going to be an Environmental Commission.
Okay.
And we need an Environmental Commission. We're going to have Green Team.
We have to get people who want to serve on the committee.
And make them realize that they've got to come
Right.
every meeting. It's not once a month, it's only 4 times a year.
Okay.
So don't appoint them if they're not going to.
I usually just appoint I don't think I put any, I think I put maybe 1 new member on or something
Well,
like
I
that.
think any members that are on this should be voted off. They haven't come.
All
There's
right.
only 3 of us that come.
I hear you.
So 2 of us actually, and council in Europe, so.
Thank you, Peggy. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Yes.
Ellen Butsky, 597 Wilford Road. I just want to say that it's wonderful to see progress at the old Huffman Foods. And in light of that, and in light of the consideration of a professional to help with a possible special improvement district, whether the borough has given any consideration to a public forum to invite comment from the public on the type of retail and establishments they'd like to see go in down at Huffman Foods and anywhere else in town to help the ESU Brothers or other developers when they go out to seek tenants.
Thank you, that's a good idea. Now that we have Mr. Smart on board, maybe we can invite him to our next work session and bounce these ideas off him and see what he recommends. Jeff?
He said he was available in June.
Anybody else from the public? Yes, sir.
Mark Ritter, 135 Valley Road. Some people on the board, the commission might know me by now. My house was affected by Sandy. I had a town tree, took out a big piece of my house, but beyond that, we finally came to an agreement. We got most of the tree removed. We then came to another agreement about reconditioning of my property. But there is still sitting on, town land, this giant stump, and about 8 feet in height, of a 7-foot circumference of the base of the tree. So there's a stump and there's the base still sitting there, as well as about 2 or 3 other stumps and large pieces of tree still sitting adjacent to my backyard. And I assume that the town, since they agreed to do everything it had done to date, the heavy lifting, would take the rest of the pieces away. I've called here a couple of times and I was told that I'm on a list. Now, I can't finish repairing my fence, and I can't finish repairing the rest of my backyard, because to get these pieces out, I'm going to require the backhoe to come back in my backyard again, and this giant thing that picked up these enormous pieces of tree a few months ago, and there is no way to avoid it ripping up the lawn and the property again. If I fix everything, and you've already paid me to do that, without them coming in and finishing the job, they're going to rip it up again. So when I called here, I spoke to the clerk, and all she said was, like she said the first time, was send a letter. If anybody was here the last time I tried to do that, I put together a fairly comprehensive letter and a couple of 100 pictures, and nobody responded. So I came and I spoke to you people, and got resolved, and I got reimbursed, and as I said, that's where we stand. But being told that my house is on a list that could take 2 to 3 years for somebody to come and finish the job. So my backyard is supposed to look the way it does. If it was the front of my yard that looked like the back of my yard does, I would have the town sending me regular correspondence about the condition of my property. I would like the town to give me something reasonable in terms of a schedule so I can fix my backyard, finish it up, and use my backyard that I paid for. And I don't know if it's frustrated or bewildered at the way the process works or doesn't work, how this should be taken care of.
All right, Mr. Ritter, I'll talk to you after the meeting with the borough attorney, and we can hopefully resolve your problem.
Okay. It's kind of just, at this point, it's logistics. It's the chicken and the egg. What do we do first?
Anybody else? I think, I don't know. One of you two.
193 Wayne Avenue. I noticed on the agenda that you have, thank God, a new code enforcement officer you're going to hire tonight. But I would just hope that you increase it to 4 hours, because that really is ridiculous. Some of the houses in town are really starting to look, you know, I'm sure, Anthony, you get around, you see riding around.
Yeah,
houses that are
insane.
We all do. And I think you need more than 4 hours a week. That's crazy. The other thing, just real quick, is there's an amateur photographer in Milford, and he's pointed out to us that there's several trees blocking the Hackensack River about 50 yards north of our boat ramp. And he said it's very prevalent. You can really see it at low tide. I don't know if when you guys were down there, I didn't go to river cleanup, but...
We went at high tide. We were at high tide.
Okay. Well, when it's at low tide, he sent me pictures taken at low tide. It's not only going to be a flooding issue, but we cannot get boat access north of our boat ramp, if need be. And from what it looks like, the trees are on the New Milford side and are almost clear across the river. So I've heard somebody mention earlier that, with the PSEG project coming into storm time, it might behoove both boroughs to get those trees out of the river before storm time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Alan, maybe we can send a letter to...
A letter from you to New Milford, maybe going to the Mosquito Commission to see if they can come in and do something.
Okay. Neil?
Mayor, Neil Carroll, 321 Wales Avenue. Two topics. One, I was wondering when the traffic and safety group was going to meet next, because this is either the second or third time I've heard that you're going to make the marginal road on Route 4 one-way westbound, and we just did a rough count. We got 7 firefighters that come out of Lakeview and use the marginal road, and we have 12 that take Bogart Road to the marginal road to get to Company 2 Firehouse. And with that 19 numbers, the response time is going to be increased greatly if they have to go down to Kinnickmack Road. Festa through the 3 lights. The Howland Avenue light is always red when I go there, so, it doesn't matter whether there's a car coming down Howland or not. But
Well, what about Reservoir?
I could speak to traffic and safety, and maybe they could do some research and input it to the mayor and council before we go too far. The second item I have, assuming that we're still waiting on public service gas to replace the meter, that's the holdup on the generator. Mr. Hollenbeck is my first thought, and if that doesn't work, June 7th I'll be in Trenton, and I sit here and the BPU man sits 4 seats away from me, and I'm sure if we bring it up, Judy will attest to me asking the BPU man about phone service in the Borough Hall. It was out for 4 days, and probably in an hour and a half she had 2 men standing in front of her desk from Verizon. So the BPU man does do a good job for us. So let me know.
All right, well, we haven't discussed that issue, the proposed change of the direction on Marginal Road at the Traffic and Safety meeting yet, but when we put it on the agenda, we'll notify the fire and police and ambulance. Anybody else? All right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Council comments. Councilwoman Murphy.
First, I'd like to congratulate our shade tree. I neglected to mention that they won a very prestigious award. It's only one of 2 given out in the state of New Jersey. It's the Gold Leaf Conservation Award. So congratulations to them for being recognized for everything that they do. Beautification, if you go to Fresh and Fancy Farms in New Milford, toward the end of May, from now until the end of May, 15% of your sales will go toward beautification. So if you hand your receipt in, beautification can get that money. The Wine Festival, August 24th, Newbridge Landing. And I would agree with Mr. Caridi about the code enforcement officer increasing the hours. We have gotten a lot of complaints over the past few weeks. They're starting to pile up. People are complaining about condition of the homes, garbage, everything. So I think that's something we should address. And that's it for me.
Councilman Acofredo.
Mr. Mayor, Kathleen has kind of enunciated a couple of comments that I wanted to make, so we'll dispense with comments, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Councilman Capola.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to publicly acknowledge beautification. They did a great job with the planting of flowers and other plants at the library last week. I happened to catch that, and I was there for a little while, and they explained to me what they were planting and why, and I thought they did a great job, so kudos to them. And it was a breath of fresh air to have a shovel finally in the ground at the Hoffman Cruise. It's about time, and I want to applaud you, Mayor, for doing a great job representing our town and the speeches you gave, so thank you. And I got a little bit of a bone to pick. However, I got there by luck, just by word of mouth, and I would have liked to have been invited. I don't know what the policy is there, but I found my way, and I hope in the future I'll be able to be invited. It's something that important in town. And the American Legion sign, I don't know if we can cut that thing down or something, but that's on Continental. There's no sign, but it's blue on wood.
Half the sign is there.
Yeah. So, but Continental has the dubious distinction of siding falling off a home, and now it's this. I don't know. So, anyways, that's it. Thank you, Matt.
All right, Councilman Mignolo.
Just to follow up on Anthony's point about the Huff McCoos, I was out of town last week anyway, so I wasn't going to be able to attend, but I still think the council should have been notified and invited to such an important groundbreaking. I know the chairman of the planning board also expressed his disappointment that nobody from the planning board got to be also there because they spent a lot of time reviewing that application. And I know you don't intend it, Mayor, but when you take fundamental disagreements on policy issues, whatever, and say it's politics, it comes across as insulting. I've sat at this dais now, going on 3 years, and I've tried to be fair, open-minded. I say what I mean what I say, like you always say you do, and I take you at your word that that's the way you are, and I hope you take it at our word too, that if we have fundamental disagreements, it's because we have disagreements on policy, and it's not about politics. These issues are not defined by partisan politics, except that if you're on one side or the other on this dais. So it's going to be a long wait between now and November, and I know there'll be probably more disagreements, but I think, like you said, at reorganization, this council's agreed more times than not about and moving things forward. The other issue about the code enforcement officer, I think we'd all love to have somebody work more, but I think Alan, we all were pretty proud. We did I think a very good bipartisan job on the budget this year. We still have ways to go until we get to what I would hope to be zero increases, and leave it to Alan. He put the proverbial bucket of water on our face when he told us, you guys did a good job, but there's things coming up in the next 2 years where the budget's still going to be challenging. So it's nice to spend money on more hours for people or other initiatives, but the money's got to be found somewhere. And so we're running a very tight budget now, so between DPW personnel, police personnel, property maintenance, the money's got to come from somewhere. And if we're going to look to increase people's hours, we've got to find out whose hours or what other programs would be cut to compensate for that.
Thank you. Councilman Bartoloni.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to touch on some things that Councilman Mignon and Councilman Coppola have already touched on. A lot of times I've heard from various people up on this dais that when I disagree, it's because it's politically based. Am I up for re-election this year? Yes, I am. Would I allow that to govern how I think or act? No. I have a core set of beliefs. I stick to that core set of beliefs. And it's insulting when someone tells me, well, you're just saying that for politics. That's not how I think. That's not how I operate. I didn't run for this office for any political motivation. It was simply because I thought I could help. And however the election turns out, it turns out. But I will never govern myself based upon the politics of the situation. I simply disagree with spending any additional money for that park. And I've been consistent about that for the last 3.5 years. I just don't see the need to spend any additional money on that. We did work very hard. I spent a lot of time on the budget in the Finance Committee, on Personnel Subcommittee, up here on Saturdays constructing a budget to see it sort of nitpicked apart and additional costs added. Mr. Connors asked a question about the $3,000 and what I was talking about, and unfortunately he left. But I would liken it to this. If I was hiring an architect to do an addition to my house, well, don't you think I might think how I'm going to fund the addition on my house before I hire the architect? Am I going to spend thousands of dollars on an architect without knowing how I'm going to do the addition to my home? That's what you've just told me before, is that you're going to hire the professional but you don't know how you're going to pay for it. Talk about putting the cart before the horse. There's three ways to do it. Either you're going to take more money from open space, you're going to bond for it, or there's money in the budget. Well, I know there's no money in the budget. So either you're going to take money from open space to pay for it, which I would strongly disagree with, or you're going to bond for it. That's it. So to say you don't know, well, there's really only two options. So, and this whole process with this park, I've just found that it really has not been fully vetted by the council. I found this whole process, disappointing, to be quite honest. And in terms of, the groundbreaking down at Hoffman Coos, I think, well, Councilwoman Murphy was there. I don't know how she found out about it, why she was at the event.
It was listed on the patch at noon.
Yes. Well, that's how I found out about it. But I'm sure that Senator Gordon and Assemblyman Eustace didn't find out about it on the patch.
How do you know? Do you know?
Because I know they said to me that they were supposed to be there the Friday before, but the event got rained out. That's how I know that they didn't read about it on the patch. I'm fairly certain that Senator Gordon and Assemblyman Eustace are not reading the patch, the River Edge patch, every morning to find out when the Hoffman Coos groundbreaking is. Okay? So you could look smug and whatnot.
You have 100% certainty, so that's fine.
Well, let's put it this way. If I was a betting man, I'd bet that they didn't find out about it because they were going to be there that Friday beforehand. Mayor, it's politics.
It's my turn to make
It's politics in its worst form. You don't invite members of the council, the opposition party. Why, you don't want us there?
What opposition party? What are you
The Republican Party, Mayor.
I didn't, listen, when you're done, I'll make my comments, because you have the floor right now. I'm not gonna, I know you want to get me.
No, I don't want to get you.
I'm not playing your game.
I want transparency.
Finish making your comment, and then
when
I'll
there's
make
an
my
opening
comment.
in town, why wouldn't you have members of the council know about it? Whether it's an ice cream shop or it's the Hoffman Coos.
Ask all your questions now, and then
Why
I'll
wouldn't
write
you
them
tell
down.
us?
You asked that question already. I'll give you my
Fine.
answer when I make my comment.
Fine,
I'm not
Mayor.
gonna
I
get
await your
into
answer.
A verbal argument with you.
I await your answer.
Thank you. Councilman Papaleo.
Yes, I'd like to say that I'm delighted to see that Hoffman Coos is moving ahead. I want to thank the mayor for all the work he did with the CNCs behind the scenes. I know for a fact that there was a lot of work, and that the mayor deserves a lot of credit for it to moving forward the way it did. I'd like to say that I'm thrilled that Cherry Blossom is moving forward. It was an unfinished project, and I know we have disagreements about it, and I respect different opinions about it, but my position is anything that will beautify River Edge and that will remove fences from unused lots and bring about completion, that's why I'm glad to be on the council to get things done. I also would like to, I'd like to thank Councilman Bartoloni and for all the work he did do on the budget. We all worked in a bipartisan, and he has been an important part of that. We all worked on the Finance Committee. I was on the Finance Committee last year. I'm on Personnel this year, and we put together a great budget. And I think it's good that we have voices that say, hey, let's not spend much more. But in the same token, I also feel that we need to get some work done. And I think that we have to balance not spending even a penny more with what we need to get done. And so I think there's praise to go around, and I think there's disagreements to be respected. I'm glad that we're finishing Cherry Blossom. I'm glad the Hoffman Coos is moving. I hope that we can figure out some way to get 7-Eleven moving and the Dr. Kreisel moving. And I agree. We get more done unanimously than we don't. And I am proud to be a part of this council. And those are my comments.
All right. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's always more interesting when we have people in the audience. and they can ask us questions and be heard and have your finger to the pulse of what's happening in town. I'd like to invite everyone to next Monday's Memorial Day ceremony at Company 1, and then followed by the presentation at Memorial Park. It's always a very good event. Joe Magiri and the whole crew will be there. Usually our former mayor, Peg Watkins, shows up, and it's always a very good time to pay your respects on Memorial Day. We have a wine festival coming up at Newbridge Landing on August 24th. I think so far we have close to 8 New Jersey wineries that are going to be on hand. There will be tastings, there will be live entertainment, there will be food vendors. Keeping my fingers crossed that it's a beautiful day, and we expect several thousand people to go to historic Newbridge Landing for that wonderful festival. I hope we have many, many more. Regarding Cherry Blossom Park, there's always been political differences regarding the park, but we own it, it's our property, we have to take care of it. That's just, in essence, that's what it is. We spent, I think, $700 or $800 a month to keep a fence around it and to make it look like a concentration camp. Now the fence is gone, the grass is growing, it's graded, it looks beautiful. When it's done, it will be a jewel in the crown of River Edge. So, you know, you can let it go fallow all you want, but under this administration, we're going to complete the project. Just like we put the shovel in the ground last week at the New Bridge Center, the former Huffman Coos property. It's a ceremonial event. I know that there are tender egos on the council here, but it's a ceremonial event. It's the same ceremonial event as a ribbon cutting or when I perform a marriage. I don't invite council to a ribbon cutting. I don't invite council to when I perform a marriage ceremony or when I give someone the oath. It's a ceremonial event that the mayor does. I don't know why everybody got so bent out of shape. I was asked to have a guest list. I put our freeholder, who is a Republican, on the guest list, who used to be a member of the council and a member of the planning board. I put our assemblyman on the guest list, and I put our senator on the guest list. And that was my guest list. That was it. Nobody else. And Mr. the Ciancis own the property. They could have put anyone that they wanted on their guest list. It was in the patch, so anyone could have been there. That's all I really have to say. We're all big boys. We can all take the heat. I'm in the hot seat, and we all have to just get on with it here. I want to thank everybody again for coming. I'll see you all on Memorial Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for extending the offer for that.
Motion to... Here.
Present.
Here. Here. Still here.
Here? Present. Okay, can I have, regarding the appointments agenda, can I have a motion to approve the hiring of Arthur DeRosa as Code Enforcement Officer at an hourly rate of $15.74 an hour, beginning at 4 hours per week with a 6-month probationary period effective May 21, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And a motion to approve the hiring of Daniel Decker as a seasonal summer help in the Department of Public Works at an hourly rate of $10 per hour, not to exceed, I think it's 29 hours per week.
So moved.
Effective May 21st, 2013. We
So
have a
moved.
motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the public meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Alan, the 2 bills from last week,